Hello, Giant team members. In this video lecture, we're going to be talking about a very familiar topic, and it is one that's very important. So I know we've certainly discussed it in our first class. We've covered it a lot in our second class, but I just want to go over just one more time to drive the point home of how important self-efficacy is, and how important it is not only to our personal lives but also our professional lives. And we'll keep this more in the context of professional lives and organizational behavior. But in this unit, in this module, we talk about self-efficacy as part of that core self-evaluation construct. And it's more of this generalized self-efficacy, right? So we have, in previous classes, we've talked more about self-efficacy in terms of the Albert Bandura definition, which was very task-specific, right? I'm not good at cooking, I am good at cooking. I'm not good at taking tests, I'm good at taking tests. So very, very task-specific. When we're looking at this construct of core self-evaluations, we're looking at self-efficacy in more of a generalized term. So if I take all of those specific tasks that I either feel that I'm very good at or not very good at, and I put them all together, I get a generalized sense of self-efficacy. Meaning that if I decide to undertake something new, this generalized self-efficacy that I have will inform me as to whether or not I think I'll be good at it if I don't have much of a frame of reference for it from just previous experiences. So in this video lecture, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about the sources of your self-efficacy beliefs. And I think we talked a little bit about this in the past, but I want to make sure we're very good with that. And then some of the behavioral patterns that are going to emerge at work based on these sources of self-efficacy beliefs. So these sources inform our self-efficacy, which lead to behavioral patterns, right? Our behaviors, whatever it is that we're doing, and our actions. And then there's also then comes the results, right? The outcomes of what those behaviors or actions are doing. And in your book, it's either the actions, either the results are either success in what it is that I'm doing or failure, and the reasons for those can be driven by our efficacious beliefs. So what are the sources then of our self-efficacy? Well, one is prior experiences, right? Just by doing something, it's going to inform me whether or not I am good at it. So if I try to cook and I burn everything, immediately I'm going to be thinking, okay, this is not for me. And if I repeat that pattern over and over again, and I'm met with failure after failure after failure, it's really going to inform me about my ability to do that, in this instant cook. So our previous experiences certainly are a source of our efficacy beliefs. Modeling behavior is something that informs our efficacy beliefs. Just watching other people do something, whether successfully or unsuccessfully, will inform our beliefs. So we want to make sure that we're finding good points of references. And I think in a lot of other classes, whether it's in the discussion board area, in your lecture areas, I encourage you, when you say, hey, I have a good role model, I have a good supervisor, I have somebody who's kind of doing it the right way and taking me under their wings, I say, great. Make sure that you observe and you model that behavior, because that is going to inform your efficacy beliefs. Just watching this person do the job successfully, is going to inform you. Feedback or persuasion from others is another efficacy belief. So if somebody is telling you, good job, you're doing that right, you're successful at this way you're doing, that's going to make you more efficacious. Versus if you have somebody around saying, you can't do this, this isn't for you, you're not really good at doing this, you're going to fail, that is going to bring our efficacy beliefs down and lower our self-efficacy. So throughout the first two courses, especially the last one, we said be careful who it is that you're listening to and who you're hanging around, because just through that feedback, through that persuasion from others, you could give that balance and say, okay, I believe what it is that person's saying. I can't do this. I'm a failure at this. And then you will lower your efficacy beliefs, and it could lead to failure. And the last source of efficacy beliefs is that assessment of our physiological or emotional states, right? How do I interpret the physiological state that I'm in? Do I interpret it as a positive thing? It's me getting ready and excited and really looking forward to doing something, or do I perceive it as a negative? I'm nervous, I'm unprepared, I'm anxious, I have high anxiety and stress, in which case it's going to impact my performance too. So we have to be careful of how we interpret those physiological and emotional states that are going on, because they certainly have an impact on our self-efficacy. So if we take all those things into consideration, and they all feed into our efficacy beliefs, we could be high, I know I could do this, I know I could do the job, or they could be low, I don't think I can get the job done, based on all of these four sources of efficacy. So what could be my behavioral patterns as a result of this? I could be active, selecting best opportunities. Your reticular activating system is high. You're looking for opportunities. You're selecting opportunities if that efficacy is high. You could manage a situation, right? You could avoid all the obstacles that are coming up. That's part of hope theory that we talked about. So as you're managing these obstacles, you're overcoming these obstacles. You have high resilience as a result of this. You're setting goals. When you're highly efficacious, you're setting goals and establishing standards with which you're going to perform your work with. You plan, you prepare, and you practice, right? You're engaged. It's important to you. You feel like you can do it. You want to engage in it. As a result of engaging, you plan it, and you practice it, and you prepare for it. You persevere. You persevere. We talked about resilience. We talked about motivation. With high efficacy, you're able to follow through on things. So whatever it is that you're doing at work, if you come with obstacles and you're meeting obstacles, you're able to overcome those. You're able to persevere. You learn from setbacks. We're all going to have setbacks, whether at work or in our personal lives. We have to learn from those, and if we could learn from those, if we could, somewhat compartmentalize them and learn from them, we can move forward. As long as we don't want them to cripple us. We don't want setbacks to cripple us and say, well, I can't do this. If we have high self-efficacy, and to another level, even high confidence, we can overcome those setbacks. We can visualize success. We know what success looks like. And we can limit our stress. That's very important, limiting our stress. If you feel like you can't do something, if you feel like you're afraid to engage in it, and it's causing you stress, and it's causing you anxiety, that's a terrible place to be. Versus if we have a higher sense of generalized self-efficacy, we have less stress going into situations because we have more confidence in our ability. So on the other end of the spectrum, though, we have low self-efficacy, and then those behaviors associated with that. Being passive, right? Not trying to engage, not being proactive, just sitting back and letting things come to you. You avoid difficult tasks, right? And those are the things that are going to get you noticed at work. Taking on those hard jobs, those hard tasks, volunteering and saying, I think I can do that. I believe I have the ability to do that. And yeah, there'll be setbacks, but I could persevere and I'll move forward, versus avoiding all of that. Developing weak aspirations or having low commitment to the job, to the task, to the organization. You focus on your personal deficiencies. We talked about that, self-talk, right? Our beliefs about ourselves. If we really focus on the negative, on the deficiencies, it's going to really hamper us in our life. We don't even try. We make a weak effort, right? We just kind of this slovenly effort at it because we're just not motivated. We don't have the interest. We feel like we can't do it. We quit or become easily discouraged. We blame setbacks on, not on our lack of ability, but on just luck, right? We just say, I had a bad break. It was this kind of external locus of control, right? It was something else. It wasn't me. We worry, we experience stress, we become depressed, right? You might even experience work burnout because you just don't have the ability in your mind to do what needs to be done. And you think of all these excuses for failing. Here's why I failed. It was this person, it was this machine, it was this process or procedure. Again, with that complete external locus of control, when in fact, it's just maybe our mindset going into something that's causing this. So that's our lecture on self-efficacy again. And again, I know we've covered this a lot. I know we talked about self-efficacy a lot, but I feel like it might be if not one of the most important constructs that we have, because it really dictates a lot. From our behavioral patterns to the outcomes or results that we're seeing. So remember, there's 4 sources of our efficacy beliefs. It's our experiences, our modeling the behavior of others, feedback from others, and our interpretation of physiological or emotional states. As these 4 things feed us our efficacy beliefs, we either have high efficacy about something on the job or low efficacy about something on the job. High efficacy leads to behavioral patterns that are certainly conducive to getting the job done. Low efficacy beliefs lead to kind of these deficiency models and blaming and stress and anxiety and all these other things. And the first one leads to more successful outcomes, the last one leads to more failures. So as always, be aware of those, be aware of your efficacy beliefs, and also those of others too. As a supervisor, you could begin to recognize some of these and plan accordingly and take actions accordingly.